Hello, everybody. Chris Teal here, director of the second annual Fayetteville Jazz Festival. Just popping in right before the next workshop, just to give a reminder. Check down in the description of this video. There are lots of opportunities to help out not only this festival through donations, but also get yourself involved playing music and also supporting scholarships for our Institute for Creative Music virtual summer camp that is still happening. We're going to do this with a combination of pre-recorded videos that the IfCM has been doing for quite a while, but new content, of course, for the summer campers at a variety of different levels, and a lot of live interactive workshops, kind of in lieu of doing jazz combos. We're going to have sectionals, all kinds of stuff. And so check out the description of all the things that are going on as we go forward after you enjoy all of these videos from the Fayetteville Jazz Festival. So if you've been involved with the IfCM, the Institute for Creative Music, obviously Nick Finzer, trombonist, composer, and entrepreneur, is no stranger to you. And today we're really excited to have him present a new workshop and performance on the trombone. And keep abreast of what he's doing. Always lots of great resources for jazz performers and educators, so make sure to check out the link in the description of all the things that he has going on. Please enjoy this performance workshop from Nick Finzer.
Hello, Fayetteville Jazz Festival. Thanks for being here. I'm glad you can tune in. I'm glad you can watch this little masterclass and performance. My name is Nick Finzer. I am a jazz trombonist. I have been to Fayetteville a couple times for the summer camp that Chris Teal runs through the Community Music School. Chris and I have known each other for a while. We went to college together at the Eastman School of Music. He was doing his master's, I was finishing up my undergrad, and then we started an organization together called the Institute for Creative Music. And we've done workshops on jazz and improvisation all over the country, and I'm really excited that we get to connect with you all today for this virtual jazz festival, and I'm extremely excited to see how this forum can start a conversation. I would love to hear from you all after this and let me know what you thought of it. Probably the fastest place to find is either my website, nickfinzermusic.com, or find me on Instagram at Nick Finzer, Nickfinzer. So feel free to do that. Today, what you're going to need for the masterclass is, number one, you're going to need your instrument. So if you need to pause the video and go find an instrument, I guess you could watch it now and go find an instrument later and rewatch it, but it'd be great for you to have some context the first time going through. We're going to do a lot of playing together. I'm going to show you guys some stuff. We're going to talk today about the basic building blocks of playing jazz and try to eliminate some barriers to entry that people have because they think it's too complicated sometimes, or even for experienced players, if you feel like, oh, I don't want this easy stuff. This is maybe a new way for you to think about things, a new way for you to internalize the language of jazz, the basic, again, fundamental building blocks of jazz language, jazz harmony. So we're going to go through that in just a few minutes. But a little bit of background about me, if you don't know anything about me or who I am. I'm from New York, from Rochester, New York. I grew up there, and I have been a musician since as long as I can remember. My mom has videos of me banging on a piano, singing along, making up songs. And then as I grew up, I moved towards singing and picked up trombone in 4th grade, wasn't super serious about it. And then tried to kind of go a musical theater direction, but then in 8th, 9th grade, I got into playing classical trombone a lot, and so I wanted to be a classical trombonist, and I thought I was going to get into the symphony and do all this stuff. My freshman year of high school, I realized I knew nothing about symphonic music. There was no orchestra at my school. I had no practice with excerpts. I tried to get that together. I didn't get into the youth orchestra, and so then I thought, oh, I'll take voice lessons at Eastman, because Eastman is in Rochester, and I started taking a year of voice lessons because I was into singing classical voice and theater and stuff like that. And then from there moved to a Saturday band that was at Eastman. It was being advertised, it was brand new. It was called the Eastman Youth Jazz Orchestra, and what we did was get together on Saturdays and play the music of Duke Ellington. And because I was taking voice lessons, I got to do this for free. So it was like a bonus. So my parents let me do it and drive me down to the city from the suburbs, to play music, and so I fell in love with jazz right then and there. I had never wanted to be a jazz musician before that. I didn't know anything about jazz really other than high school jazz band. So I decided to go that way because I wasn't getting super far in the classical side. And I think it matches my personality. I love to improvise. I love to improvise in all different sorts of walks of life. And it's a skill, a super important skill. And but it's always predicated on having some background knowledge so that you can actually participate, is the word, I think, in that art form or that process by having the prerequisites. It's kind of like I think about training, like athletics or learning to cook. There's a bunch of skills you need to have. If you think about cooking, you need to be able to chop stuff up. You need to be able to not cut your fingers off. You need to be able to, handle a hot pan, know a few things about the oven, know some things about which type of recipes you can improvise with, which you shouldn't. Like if you're baking bread, you need to follow a pretty good strict ratio of things in order for the yeast to do its job. So I feel like there's a lot of similarity and a lot of crossover in talking about jazz as a language and as an art form and as having these prerequisites to build upon and then you can improvise with. So Chris and I focus on talking about jazz as language and focusing on jazz as learning it by ear. So we're not going to use any music today. We're focused on developing our concept of jazz, of swing, of eighth notes, of all the things that go into it. We could spend a whole masterclass talking about the feel of jazz, how swing works and all this stuff. But before that, I just want to finish the context of who I am because I kind of moved on to a side story here. But just to circle back, I decided to get into playing jazz music. I moved to New York in 2010 to play at Juilliard, do my master's at Juilliard. So I was there for 2 years. And then I was freelancing in New York until then I was on tour for most of a few years. And then I was teaching at Florida State University. And currently I teach at the University of North Texas and then get back to New York as much as I can between teaching and playing. And so right now, kind of the main playing I'm doing is with my own groups. We released a record called Cast of Characters back in February, the end of February 2020. And we had a tour. It got cut short because of our situation right now, but that's all right. And we'll get back to that music soon, I hope, maybe in 2021 or fall 2020. But you can check that out. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, etc., etc. And then from there, yeah, that's where I am. So that's who I am. That's my background. So I wanted you to know where I was coming from. And I gave this similar masterclass, and it was super, super well received last summer as part of the Jazz at Lincoln Center summer camp up back in New York. And I thought it was really, really helpful. And so I think for you guys today, I hope it was also really helpful. So there's one thing, if you need any sort of music or any sort of anything, you're going to need to pull up maybe on your phone or your computer, not where you're watching this video, but somewhere else, pull up the circle of fourths or circle of fifths, depending on which way you're going to go around it. And so we're going to go around this circle. We're going to base everything that we do on this circle. So if you don't have it memorized, you probably will by the end of this session. And the goal here is to go around the circle and memorize it and get it so comfortable that we can know what comes next in music without having to think about it. Now, why is this important? So you probably have heard before, that music goes 5 to 1, 5 to 1, 5 to 1, which it does. And so if you think about the circle of fourths and you're looking at it, we're always going to start on C. So if you are a non-concert pitch instrument, you just have to start in a different place on the wheel. So if you get your wheel, then you know what the next chord is going to be. So we're going to start on C for concert pitch instruments. If you play alto saxophone or bari saxophone, you're going to start on A. And if you play trumpet or tenor, you're going to start on D. And then we're going to go, depending on what pamphlet you open, we're going to go from starting on C, the next one's going to be F, then B flat, E flat, A flat. So if you're starting on D, it's going to go G, C, F. If you're starting on A, it's going to go A, D, G, C, F, that way around the circle, depending on which diagram you're looking at. Why are we going to do this? Because this is 5 to 1 every time. C is the 5 of F. 5 is the 5 of B flat. B flat is the 5 of E flat. E flat is the 5 of A flat. So you're memorizing the direction that harmony moves in a normal way, in a regular tune, a blues, a tune. I mean, the moves in a blues maybe slightly differently, but in general, this is the most important thing to know. When I say C, you should know what the 1 is of that. Or if I say F, you should know what's the 5 of that. That's the fundamental thing to start getting into your brain in order to understand harmony of jazz. But we're not even getting that far today. We're really focusing on the circle and the components of learning jazz. So things that people get hung up on is that they think they need to know a lot of theory, and you don't. You need to use your ears, and you need to listen to other jazz musicians and learn some language, just like you learn words when you're a kid. Somebody else, I'm sure, is going into this today. And Chris definitely talks about this as well. And there's many, many videos that we've made on YouTube about that particular topic. So I'm not going to delve too much into that right now. I'm just going to get right to it and get us to start playing here. So it's enough of me talking. Let's get to playing. So the first thing that we're going to do is me finish what I was talking about theory, which is that we don't need to know everything. We just need to know the basics. And so there's certain types of chords that are in most tunes. There's dominant chords that appear in blues. There's minor 7 chords, major 7 chords. That's most of our jazz language, those 3 things. So that's what we're going to focus on. If you don't know what a 7th chord is, that's a triad with 1 extra note. And it's diatonic up in thirds. So if there's time, I'm going to go into a diatonic scale workout. If not, you'll have to find it on YouTube because it already exists in other places. But we're going to go through this first thing to get in our ears, to get in our horns or piano or bass or whatever you're playing. We're going to get all of this stuff into your brain. You're not going to ever forget it from here. So this is what we're going to do. I got a metronome here. Testing to make sure it's still working. Great. So that's 96 BPM. It's going to be on a lot, so I'm sorry. It's going to be annoying, but we need to have it. So it's going to be on 96, and what we're first going to do is very, very simple. We're going to play whole notes, and we're going to play all around the circle of fourths or circle of fifths, depending on what your diagram says. Again, I'm going to play it on trombone, and you guys can play it on your instrument. We're going to go around that circle of fourths. So all the way around one time, going all the way back to and playing a whole note on the very last one where we started. So remember, if you're playing a concert pitch instrument like trombone or piano, you're going to start on C. Altos, E-flat instruments are going to start on A. Tenors, trumpets are going to start on D. And we're going to go all the way around this circle. So here we go. Here's the click. We go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We made it. That's a circle of fourths. So if you couldn't do that without looking at music, you're going to need to pull up that diagram. You can find it in about 3 seconds by Googling circle of fourths. And you'll find it. All right. So that's why we need to have that, because that's where we're starting from. Now, I was talking about chords, and I was talking about harmony. Now, there's only 2 options for the 2 other important notes that we have. So the other important notes that we have in jazz vocabulary in chord spelling are the thirds and the 7th. Why? Because they define the sound. The 5th is part of the overtone series, and it doesn't necessarily define the sound. It's kind of just there. And if you don't believe me, just believe me. Just take my word for it for now, that the most important thing to focus on are thirds and 7ths in talking about jazz harmony and jazz improvisation. So what we're going to do is go from whole notes to half notes. And so what we're going to do now is learn the first thing about how to figure out whether or not we have a major 7, minor 7, major 3rd, minor 3rd. We're going to go with thirds first. Why? Because everybody knows thirds. So we're going to think about major thirds, and we're going to do half notes. We're going to go ba da da da. That's like right? They're all the same. They all have the root and then our major third. Half notes all the way around the circle, starting from the same place, from that concert C. Why we're doing this? Like I said, we're learning the building blocks. These are building blocks. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if that was hard, if you got lost, what did we do? We went all the way around the circle, we played half notes, and we played the root note, the note that's on that page that you're looking at maybe if you don't have it memorized. C, E, F, A, B flat, D, E flat, G, right? And so how did we figure out what the major third was? Well, if you don't know, it's because what happens is you go 1, 2, 3 of your major scale, right? So B flat, C, D natural, and you get that major third. So that's what we played. We played root to major third. So when is this going to come into play? So when you see major 7 and when you see dominant 7, because we're only dealing with 3 types of chords here. We're only dealing with major 7 and dominant 7 and minor 7. So on a major 7 and a dominant 7, you have the root and you also have the major third. So it's 2 out of the 3. Okay, so if that was hard for you, you probably want to go back and do it a few times so you get super comfy, because if you don't understand that first step, it's going to be a little difficult to take the next steps beyond here. All right, so that was it, root to third, root to third. So now we're going to move on and try the next thing. We're going to say root to minor third. Okay, so now you're going to have to figure out the minor third all the way around. So if you just go down a half step from where we just were, C, E flat, F, A flat, you're going to get all the right answers. So we get the major third, and now we're going to take the same thing. It's the same 2 note names, but we're going to lower the second one by a half step. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Did you get it? If not, make sure you pause the video. That's the beautiful thing about this masterclass being on a stream or on a video here, is that you can pause, you can go back, you can learn it, do it a couple times, get it stuck in your brain, and move on. If it was easy for you, great, let's keep moving. So that's going to apply to, like we said, minor 7 chords. Whenever you see a dash 7 or min 7, minor 7, this is what we're talking about, that root and that minor third. So now we did thirds. There's no other options for the third. It's either major or it's minor. It could be augmented or diminished, but that's not really relevant to our conversation today. And it's a rarity. 80% of the time, this is going to be the case. So now we're going to move on to sevenths. All right, so sevenths seem scary maybe, but when you think about this, you could go around and play major sevenths and minor sevenths. So a major seventh is what appears in the major scale, right? If you play C major, right, and you focus on the root, the first one, and the second to last one. So C and B natural concert. So you could go like this. But especially on a brass instrument, as we move around, it's going to become a little unwieldy to have to keep making these giant leaps all the time. So I suggest that instead of doing that, we try and go down an octave. Okay, so what does that mean? So I'm going to play C to B natural concert, but I'm going to move it down a half step rather than leaping a major seventh. So is the same as, aha. So that's the trick here. We take our root and then we go down a half step. Finding a major seventh has never been easier. It's really, really simple. So that's what we're going to do now. A major seventh, okay? So but instead of major seventh, we're going to do a minor second, or down a half step. All right, so we're going to go around our circle, and then we're going to do it on every note. All right, so down a half step. Here's our tempo, 96 BPM. If you need to slow it down and do it on your own before you do it with me, that's okay too. But here we go. Starting on C all the way around half notes, down a half step or major 7. 1, 2, 3. Sounds a little weird, but it was pretty easy to figure it out that way, right? Because it sounds weird because we end up leaping a tritone. If you know, a tritone is the halfway of an octave, 6 half steps. Anyway, we don't need to get too much into the theory of it, but it sounds maybe a little funny, right? But that's intentional. That's correct. All right, so we did major 7, right? Root down a half step, that's your major 7. Bam. When do we use it? Okay, we use it on only one of our 3 options. Remember, our 3 options are major 7, minor 7, dominant 7. Those are our 3 options in terms of chords. And then, like I said, is going to get you 80% of the way through all of jazz tunes. So major 7 goes with major 7. Okay. The other 2 have a minor 7 that we're going to learn right now. So C minor 7 has a minor 7. C dominant 7 also has a minor 7. All right. So if we thought, what did we do last time with the 3rd? We lowered it by 1/2 step to go from major 3rd to minor 3rd. The same is going to happen here with our 7th. We're going to lower it 1/2 step, go from major 7 to minor 7. All right, so you're going to go basically C, B flat, F, A flat, B flat, A flat, E flat, D flat. And like I said, if you haven't memorized this circle by now, you're hopefully starting to get close because we've done this a bunch of times. All right, so this is our jazz language. 1.0, as it were. Now, what we're going to do from here is do that exactly what I just described. So half notes again, 96 BPM. If you need to, pause and practice on your own first. But here we go. We're going to go all around. Minor 7. And again, lowering it by a half step. So that means, right? We did C to B natural. Now we're doing C to B flat. We did F to E natural. We're doing F to E flat. We're lowering it by 1/2 step. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's all the way around. So now you might be asking, okay, what do we do with the information? We just practiced some random stuff, right? But now we've practiced all of the important notes and we've practiced the circle of fourths for 3 types of chords, major 7, minor 7, and dominant 7. So now we're going to put them together. So that means we got to go from half notes to quarter notes. So if you need to slow it down, let's slow it down a little bit. We'll go to 90. We'll make it a little easier, a little bit slower. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to practice these 3 ways. I'll just tell you before so that you can stop and shed this if you need to. We're going to do major 7, minor 7, and then dominant 7. So what are we going to do? So on a major 7, we keep the 2 versions of major. So we go C, B natural, C, E natural. And again, we're moving to quarter notes. So we go ba, da, da, da. And then we're actually only a half step away from the next chord. To E natural concert, to F concert, ba, da, 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 da. How cool is that? The major 3rd of the chord voice leads to the root of the next. This is exciting stuff. I get very excited talking about voice leading. I don't want to get off track though. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go all the way around. We're going to practice it this way. Quarter notes. We go root, 7th, root, 3rd. And then you're a half step away from the next root. You go root, 7th, root, third, you're a half step from the next root. Root, seventh, root, third, you're halfway from the next root. Okay, so that's how we're going to do it. Here we go, all the way around the circle, 90 BPM this time, a little bit slower. Whoops, I slowed it down. Here we go. So here's the click, and now we're going to play that. All right, so root seventh, root third. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So how was that? Do you need to do it again? Pause the video, rewind, do it again. Do it 10 times until you get it perfect, and then we should move on to the next one. So we did major 7, and now we're going to do the opposite one. We're going to do minor 7, right? So now we have both 7th and 3rd being minor. So instead of C to B natural, we have C to B flat. Instead of C to E natural, we have C to E flat. So that sounds like this. Okay, so it doesn't have quite the same leading quality to it, right? Not the same leading quality. So what I want to do is go around the circle again, same speed with this minor 7. Okay, so minor 7 is here. I was starting to get ahead of myself in my brain, which is why I paused. Here's our click. Minor 7 all the way around. We're still using that same sheet. You're starting in the same place, concert C, and we're making it whole step down and up to the minor 3rd this time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so practice that. So now we did major 7, and now we did minor 7. So you got 2 of the 3, and we have just one more to get to during this first part of our exercise here. And if you noticed, this quarter note thing is pretty cool because it allows you to connect these chords together, which I'll get to in a second, and how we can use this to learn real music rather than just this exercise. So that leaves us with the last thing. And so before we end this just first chunk of the masterclass, I want to combine them together. So a dominant 7 has a major 3rd and a minor 7th. There's another type of chord where it's backwards from that, a minor major 7 chord. We're not going to deal with that right now, but you would flip it the opposite way where you go major 7, minor 3rd, but we're not going to worry about that. We're going to play dominant chords. So major 3rd, minor 7. I think you can do it. Use your brain. Think about it for a second as I get this click happening again. I'm going all the way around. So we're going to go down a half step up to the major 3rd. We're combining the 2 together. So here we go, all the way around, starting from C. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right, great. So there's our 3 steps. If you need to, again, pause. If this is a live masterclass, maybe we do it a couple times, but as I said, the beauty of it being on recording, zip back 30 seconds, do it again. So practice those 3 things. Make sure we can do those 3 things, because next I'm going to show you guys how we can apply this to music and how it is actually something that we can practice on a tune and learning songs. So now that you've practiced that and you're a master of root 7th, root 3rd on major 7, minor 7, and dominant 7 are 3 main types of chords. I want to show you 2 ways that we can apply this to learning songs and looking at lead sheets and seeing chord changes. And when somebody tells you about chord changes, you're learning by ear, learning these different types of chords, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. So again, we did major 7, which has half step down up to the major 3rd, that's major 7, and then dominant 7 is flat 7 with the major 3rd, and then if you flat the 3rd also, you end up with that minor 7. So let's put it all together now, and then we'll put it on with a song. So we're going to do 1 round of minor 7, 1 round of dominant 7, and 1 round of major 7. 1 round of major, minor, dominant, major, minor, dominant, major. Why are we going in this order, minor, dominant, major? Well, I'll tell you why. Because that's 2, 5, 1, minor, dominant, major. Although we would, it would be a little bit different, not the same one 12 times, but this is starting to get you in the sequence of how it goes. Minor, dominant, major. That's a 2, 5, 1. Minor, dominant, major. Okay? So 1 time through, starting from C. I'll try to call it out in the middle, but we're going to go 1 time all the way around. Quarter notes. All right? We are at 90 BPM. If you need to go slower, feel free to slow it down on your own. 1 time through minor, 1 time through dominant, 1 time through major. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Dominant, 2, 3. Major. Right, so there we have it. We did all 3 forms. Now, I told you I would tell you how to use this on a tune. So this is how we do it. We take a tune, and let's take, for example, a blues. So a very, very simple blues. We're going to do a blues in the key of F. So make your transpositions accordingly. Key of F, concert F. So we know that in a blues, it's 12 bars long, and we have a few chords that we're going to use. And again, we're not going to use music now. We're going to have you use your brains to remember this. We have 4 bars of the 1 chord, so F7 for 4 bars. 2 bars of the 4 chord, B flat 7. 2 bars of the 1 chord, F7. All right, so one more time. There's only 2 chords I've said. F7, this is, keep in mind, dominant, F7. So think about which thing it is that we just played. That would go with F7. Okay, that's F7, 4 bars. B flat 7, 2 bars. 2 bars, B flat, back to F7 for 2 bars. And then we have a 2-5-1 at the end. We're not going to do 5-4-1. I want to do 2-5-1 because we just learned all of this harmony stuff, and I want to apply it here. So we go 2-5, which is G minor 7, C7 in concert, back to F7. Does this make sense? So that's our 12-bar form. So I want to go through each one out of time so that we can know what we're playing. So let's say F7. Remember what that is. So that's a whole step down to the major 3rd, this one. Right? right, does that make sense? I hope so. Very good. Now we're going to go to B flat 7. It's the same thing, dominant again. So whole step down to the major third. Makes sense. Okay, great. Back to F7 and play the same thing. Now it's here where it's changed a little bit. We get 2, 5, 1, G minor 7, C7, F7. So we play the minor version, right? So I'm starting from G, minor version. Perfect. And then we go to the C7 dominant version. And it leads us right to F. And in this case, we won't have major, we'll have dominant because it's a blues. All right, so we got our 90 beats per minute. We're going to play the whole form one time through. All right, so root 7th, root 3rd, 4 times on F, 2 times on B flat, 2 times on F, and then we have the 2, 5 that we just practiced. So this is what it sounds like. Let's play it all together. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Okay, so maybe that seems like a little simple, but now you've just empowered yourself to be able to walk a bass line on any tune, literally on any tune. So you just match up root 7th, root 3rd with the different types that we just learned, the 3 different types. And I'll have you know, there's one other common type called a half diminished chord, but that shares the same 7th and 3rd that a minor 7 chord does. It affects the 5th, that flat 5 chord, that minor 7 flat 5 or half diminished. So, and then if you get one of those chords thrown in there too, that's 4 types of chords where you can play the 7th and the 3rd and be golden for walking a bass line. And why do we want to walk a bass line? Well, for me, I think it's really important, especially for those of you that have single note instruments like trombone, saxophone, trumpet, where we play one note at a time. It's important for us to be responsible for understanding harmony so that we can make great solos. And so this is the first step in that. And when I have my students, even my college students, try to do this, sometimes they can't. They can't walk bass lines on tunes. And when I mean walk bass lines, is play quarter notes that define the changes, that define the harmony. So this is just a very basic step. You can use these 3 things, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, those 3rds and 7ths to get you through those 4 types of chords and get you to walk on almost any tune. Just play root 7th, root 3rd, and it's going to sound like a bass line. So you can use this with a partner, and you can like practice through tunes. You can improvise with one person, the other person can play the bass line, and then you switch, all of that stuff. But the most common chord progression we said was 2-5-1. So I want to give you one exercise to be able to apply this concept to a 2-5-1, or maybe even just 2-5-1s out of context if you're practicing 2-5-1s, because that's something that comes up in jazz. And again, we're learning vocabulary by ear and then trying to apply it in some kind of systematic way. So this is the systematic way that I like to use to take things through the keys. And just to play jazz by ear, using your ears and using these building blocks. Like I said, these are the building blocks, learning this circle of fourths, learning these types of dominant chords, learning to walk bass lines. All this stuff is like the fundamentals of being able to understand and play jazz harmony. And we haven't had to learn that much theory, right? There's been a lot of playing, and it's very practical. So now we talk about a 2-5-1 and this little pattern. So let's go back to C major. So in a 2-5-1, we did it in that order. I mentioned it already. What was it? Minor, dominant, major, right? Minor, dominant, major. So if we go minor, dominant, major on a 2-5-1 to C, we go 2. So just find that note on the circle of fourths. So you still have that pulled up. So if you go to D, what's the next? If you go around one direction or the other, you get to G, right? Depending on your diagram. And then you can move one place further, C. Oh, okay. And then you can go G, C, F. Oh, and then C, F, B flat. And then F, B flat, E flat. You see how they're all in a row like that? That's pretty cool, and that's just kind of how it works. So memorizing that order of fourths and fifths is so important. And once you do it, then you can just like play 2-5-1s like it's nothing, because you got it memorized already. You already know it. So let's go back to our key. So C, right? So C, and then you just back up on the wheel 2 to D, right? So if you're a trumpet player, you're on A, you back up 2, you're at B, B, E, A, right? If you're a tenor player, I'm sorry, that was for alto players, B, B, E, A. For trumpet and tenor, you're going to go to D and back up 2. So D, go backwards to E, A, D. Aha. And if you're reading the circle backwards, if you didn't get E, A, D, then you're reading the circle backwards, and you need to go the other direction, because either fourths or fifths, depending on the diagram. That'll tell you which way to go. But if that makes sense. So now we're going to apply our root 7th, root 3rd to each one. So in this case, we're going to say root 7th, root 3rd on D minor, that 2. Now we have dominant. So the second one is G, and it's going to be dominant. Aha. And then you go to C, which is major. Okay, so if we do 2, not 2, but if we go through the whole thing without stopping is what I'm trying to say. So we go 1, 2, 5, 1. Like we just played, but all in a sequence. Let's do it slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I played the 1, 2 times when we got there. All right, so practice that one slow. Pause, rewind, practice it slow. And then what we're going to do as the exercise, the goal exercise of today is not only to just go around the circle of all 3 types, but to actually play this progression, this basic progression of jazz 2-5-1, be able to walk bass lines through 2-5-1s. You never thought you would have been able to do that when you started, I bet. Today, you had no idea how far you were going to get in jazz improvisation in only half an hour, 45 minutes. All right, so here's the deal. We're going to play the 2 chord, D minor, 5 chord, G7, goes to 1, C major. We're going to play it 2 times, like I just did. Now, we're going to go around the circle from there. So what does that mean? That C becomes now the minor chord. And we go C minor, F7, B flat major. Okay, and then B flat major becomes B flat minor, to E flat 7 to A flat. You see how we're going around the circle like that? We're going to C, change to minor, go to B flat, C, F, E flat, becomes minor, B flat, E flat, A flat, becomes minor, A flat, D flat, G flat, becomes minor, F sharp, B, E, becomes minor, E, A, D. You see how I'm just going around the circle like that? And it's always that same order, minor, dominant, major. We're going to have 6 keys of 2-5-1s that we're going to play, all in a row. So we're going to start with C, and we go to B flat, A flat, G flat, E, D, back to C again. All right, so we're going to do that all together. And who would have thought? And it's going to be great. So minor, dominant, major. We're going to do it at our tempo, because you've played this so many times already. There's our tempo. So minor, dominant, major. Play the major 2 times, and move on to the next key. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now the game is you could play that same pattern starting on any 2 chord or any 5 chord or any 1 chord around the circle. We did 6, so that means we've done half. So we need to move the circle over 1, or move the starting point over by 1, so that we don't start with a 2-5 to C, right? But maybe if we start with, like a 2-5 to F concert, so start with the G, you get 2-5 to F, and then 2-5 to E flat, D flat, B, A, G, and F again. You see how that's all the other notes than what we just played the first time? So let's do that now. So I want to get through all 12 keys. I know I told you you're going to be able to play it in any tune, all 12 keys. So we're going to do it right now. So we're move our starting pitch. So we're doing 2-5-1, minor dominant major, our same pattern, root 7th, root 3rd, and we're moving it to the other starting pitch. So the other starting pitch meaning getting the other 6 keys. So to do that, we're going to start on concert G. So G minor, C7, F major. That becomes minor, and we could do F minor, B flat 7, E flat major, concert pitch. So if we're starting on concert G, so if you're a trumpet, if you're a tenor player, you're going to start on A, find it on your wheel, and then if you're a alto player, bari player, you're going to go from G and you're going to start on E, your E, right? All right, so those are the starting places for everyone. We're going to get our pitch on again. Pitch our metronome. And we're going to go all the way around, all right? So 2 times on the major, and then it becomes minor, and we keep on going. So remember, root 7th, root 3rd, start on concert G. Here we go, G minor. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And there we have it. We made it all the way back around. So you see how easy that is? So that's 2-5-1. We went through a blues. We applied it to a blues. We did a 2-5-1, and that's 80% of jazz. So now you have no need to worry about all these crazy chords. You know what to play. We talked about the roots, we talked about the thirds, and the sevenths, the 3 most important notes when you're learning a tune. So if you put something like that onto a tune, like you're learning, maybe you're learning tune-up, or maybe you're learning all the things you are, like all of these chords are in there. There might be a few other ones, but this is most of the information that you need. So I want you to practice this, play it in 12 keys, just get this concept in your ear, get the circle of fourths memorized, because it's going to help you into the future. It's setting you up. Like all of this is just like step 1. And if this was easy for you, I'm super happy. It was a great review, and hopefully it got that cemented into you way faster. This is a great way to learn tunes. Just open up to a tune and say, all right, I'm going to play root 7th, root 3rd through all of this. And you're going to get the harmony in your ear. And so especially for single note players, for piano and guitar, it's great to get under your fingers too, in case maybe you need to walk a bass line sometimes. It's important to me, for my students, to be able to define the harmony on their own. Don't rely on the rhythm section to do it for you. It just gives you so much more personal control. It gives you so much more awareness. It gives you better musical abilities to improvise. So let's connect on our, one more thing. I know this has been a very filled masterclass with a lot of stuff, but one other thought with this exercise is then you can translate it into improvising on your own. Instead of memorizing a bunch of arpeggios, now we can focus on these important notes, adding other rhythms to them and connecting them together, like we said, like on the 2-5-1s. And you have a whole range of vocabulary that you can play. You know the right notes. You can focus on hitting the right notes on the right chord. You know what they are. So instead of da 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 da, you can switch the rhythm up when you're blowing. Ba ba do ba do ba da ba 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 do ba da ba da da ba ba do da 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 do da 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 da, and something like that, where you're improvising. And when it's applied to a tune, it'll be even easier to do that. So you don't have to memorize a bunch of arpeggios. Sometimes people get hung up on that in jazz, and they don't know how to read chord symbols and blah, 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 blah. But now you do. You know minor 7, you know dominant 7, you know major, and that's most of it. We talked about half diminished 7 just a little bit, but we just said that it shares root 7th, root 3rd with minor 7. That's all you need to know for 1.0. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to leave them in the comments. Shoot me an email. Nick@nickfinzermusic.com, or send me a message on Instagram @nickfinzer, or wherever you want to get in touch. But that's going to wrap up our masterclass for today. I hope that this got you working. I hope it was not easy. And if it was easy, I hope you'll move on to some more advanced concepts, doing this without music, opening to a random tune and just applying it and being able to know what these chord tones are. So this applies to anyone across the spectrum of improvisational experience. So if this is giving you trouble, slow it down and get it up to this tempo, up to 90 BPM. That's where we got it. That's an average medium swing tempo. So that's why I kind of went for that tempo. But thank you all for being here. It's been a pleasure to share this with you all. And please stay in touch. And if you're interested in other videos, I do have a plethora on my YouTube channel talking about jazz trombone, talking about the music industry, and of course lots and lots of music. So stay safe, stay healthy, and hope you enjoyed. See you guys next time.